Welcome, everyone, to this month's edition of the Minding Your Business video, which I think we're also going to turn into a podcast as well. And so my name's Andrew Connors. I'm a managing director here at Fairport Wealth, and I oversee our business owner practice group. And this is obviously our newsletter that we put out and video that we put out and soon to be podcast that we put out for business owners and the advisors that work for them. And I think today's topic is particularly interesting because it's really agnostic. It can apply to business owners, but it's about best practices that can apply to anyone. And so what I wanted to chat about today was just an interesting statistic. Roughly, and it depends what data set you're looking at, but roughly 66 to 88% of business owners are high net worth individuals. And so when you ask yourself, why is it that business owners make up such a large percentage of high net worth and ultra high net worth families, what is it that they're doing differently? What is it that puts them in a position to create this unique level of wealth? And so one, it's obvious. As a business owner, you're taking on an above average level of risk owning a business. It involves investment of capital, involves a lot of other things, but that risk also usually can yield higher and above average rewards. And keep in mind, a lot of businesses fail. Roughly only 45% of businesses that start actually last 5 years, and only 25% of businesses last over 10. And that's where the sweet spot often is between once you get over 5 and 10 years, where significant wealth accumulation can start. The second thing, and I think this is really important, is the mindset that business owners have that they run their business with. This transferable mindset, I like to call it the ownership mindset, also allows them to create above average levels of wealth. So what does it mean to have an ownership mindset? So the way I think about this is this. If you have an ownership mindset, it means you think like a business owner. You manage your wealth as if it was a business. You take a strategic, deliberate, disciplined approach to managing your finances. Now, this may not sound like rocket science, and it's not, but I can tell you we deal with a lot of high net worth families. We deal with a lot of successful business owners. And it's very obvious the mindset that successful people and families bring to managing their wealth versus those that don't. And so if you're going to treat your wealth like a business and want to have a business or ownership mindset, there's 5 things that I see and we see successful families and business owners do that anyone can replicate. And so we're going to start off with the first one here. Business owners in their business have a very successful, clear vision for where they want to go. And so you as an individual also need to have a clear vision of where do you want to go? What do you want your wealth to do for you? Like business owners, you need to set clear financial goals. Again, this is about having a business mindset. So as a business owner might be thinking, where do I want my business to be in 1, 5, 10 years? You need to be thinking that same way when it comes to your wealth. And it can't be in a high level way. It needs to be in a really defined, specific, measurable, achievable way. How we call them SMART goals. You want to apply these SMART goals to your personal wealth and your financial objectives. And then secondarily, always using this vision and goals to guide your, call it, wealth building efforts. And if you do this first step, setting goals, establishing a vision, that's the first step down this path of starting to think like a business owner. Second thing, business owners have a strategic plan by which they measure and run and look to grow their businesses. So you, as an individual, also need to have a strategic plan. But as an individual, we call it a financial plan. And it's really similar to a strategic plan for your business. But the financial plan drives how you grow your wealth and how you grow your finances. So like in a business, a strategic plan will track and measure a number of different areas of importance or growth. You want to do that same thing. So for example, you want to track your net worth annually, break it down by categories: cash, retirement assets, non retirement assets, liabilities, personal property. The whole goal here is how do you more effectively grow and manage your net worth? Secondarily, every year, like a business would forecast their income and expenses, you want to do that same thing. So, understanding what your income and expenses are allows you to manage it better. And when you forecast it, you are then able to look into the future and then say, okay, where are there opportunities that I can now take advantage of? What percentage of my income is going towards savings and growing wealth versus going towards liabilities, for example? And so asking these sorts of questions, again, helps you do things like mitigate taxes, plan and smooth out maybe bumps in your income stream over time, things along those lines. So setting goals, having a plan, and then the third thing, business owners do this extremely well, and this is a best practice people should and better adopt, is how do you use debt responsibly? And debt can be a great tool for growing wealth. But going back to understanding what your net worth is, what is an appropriate level of debt for you? And it's going to be a different answer to that question for each individual. So, knowing, for example, how much do I have in assets versus liability? What's that debt to asset ratio? That's a hugely important number to know. And then limiting your debt to levels and focusing, let's say, focus on paying off high interest bad debt and look to leverage lower interest debt that helps, call it, build wealth. And good debt creates either income or helps you create wealth. Bad debt creates expenses. So we've talked about those couple things. The next one we want to talk about now is how do you go about measuring and managing all these things. So a successful business owner, in addition to what we've already talked about, is also going to look to educate themselves. Business owners tend to be voracious learners. And so that's something I think a best practice everyone can adopt. So how do you continuously educate yourself? First and foremost, leverage your team. And you might be asking yourself, I have a team? Who's on my team? So if you're a business owner, you have an accountant, you have an attorney, you have a wealth manager. How do you leverage those people? So if you're a business owner, you got to think like a CEO. And you got to say, how do I leverage the skills of these people so that I can make more informed decisions so I can better grow my wealth? Business owners are great at leveraging their team to better grow their wealth, making them collaborate, sharing their goals with them so that you can get better outcomes and better results. And that right there is something I often see very much overlooked is individuals not leveraging their team and probably might not even having the right team in place. And the last thing to focus on, if you're doing all these things, is lastly, and again, this is what business owners do, is how do you measure your progress? So you want to be measuring, what's my financial performance doing? How is it tracking against my goals? If you don't know how well you're doing, how do you know if you're on the right path or not? How do you know when you need to make adjustments? You can't just wake up in the morning and hope it's all going to work out, because that's just not how it works. So monitoring and tracking your progress is hugely important. And that's another area we see sometimes people lack the ability maybe to understand how to efficiently do that. And that's where you need to hold your team accountable so that you can regularly review your performance with them, whether that's your attorney, your accountant, or your wealth manager, to make sure you're on track to meet your goals. And like a business might be looking to say, hey, we hope to hit X amount of revenue or income this year. How are you doing that on a personal level? So tracking your income and expenses to what those projections that your team is helping you put together is doing. So we just quickly kind of ran over 5 things that business owners do to run their business in successful ways that successful families can adopt to run their wealth like a business. And it's really a mindset shift. Again, as I said earlier, it's not rocket science, but these are things that if you do consistently and deliberately, you will end up in a different place. And so, hope some of this knowledge that we're sharing today is helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to be a resource. Take care and have a great day.